Right on. Hey, everyone. I appreciate you being here today. I want to, before we get started, I want to thank Five Star Guitars for being an incredible supporter of All Access Live from the very beginning. They have been both in support with equipment and also in promotional support. If you're interested in playing guitar, check them out in Beaverton, Oregon, or you can go into the website at www.fivestarguitars.com. Sign up for lessons, get your repairs done, or get some new gear. They have pros offering lessons right now. You can get lessons from the guitar phenom Jennifer Batten if you get started right now. Now that the business is done, now it's time for some fun. That track that you just heard was a brand new song from my guest, Tommy TUTONE. He's got a new album coming out, and we're going to talk about the old songs and new and what he's doing right now to stay out of trouble in the pandemic. So, Tommy, thank you for being here, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, man. How's it going?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I see you're one of the very few that hasn't grown a big quarantine beard.
Or at least no, I guess I didn't.
You shaved.
I didn't know it's a thing yet. I'm new, you know.
Yeah, well, and we haven't seen any Flock of Seagulls hair growing out underneath that hat either. So you got the rock and roll look, but you're not out there gigging, man. How you staying out of trouble right these days?
Well, I am staying out of trouble. Well, I'm always getting away with something.
Yeah,
but I'm sneaky and I'm sneaking around.
Are you here in Portland right now?
I'm in Portland, and you're down in Oregon City, right?
I am. Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
if,
about 25 miles away.
You're.
I was going to come down, but I thought it set a bad image. So.
Well, I would make you wear a mask, and I don't want to contribute any, any coronavirus. My son was in LA all last week, and so he just had his coronavirus test, his COVID test, but results aren't in yet, man. So I don't want to expose you.
Okay.
Have you been traveling at all?
No, I haven't traveled anywhere. I'm thinking of from some friends of mine in Detroit. We're thinking of renting cars and meeting each other on Mount Rushmore or something to get away. Here, Jimmy, my partner Jimmy, he's on here. He was telling me the flights were back and you could fly somewhere. This may have been a few weeks ago. Like for $300 you could get here.
Yeah.
But on Delta that did, social distancing, it's $800.
Yeah, they need to jack the prices.
If I didn't have the 800, somebody offered me to go somewhere, and I said I'm gonna have to find a social distance flight here.
Yeah, man, either that or just it's an expensive Uber, but Ubers are available. So you're not toting the tour bus these days.
Yeah, I haven't had the tour bus in a while. The Reliance.
Yeah,
a great bus. I was talking to Rick Springfield today. He had that bus before I did. It was back in about 1980.
Yeah,
Van Halen, Rick Springfield, and I were trading this bus around the Reliance. It was a beautiful bus.
Don't you wish that bus had stories?
Never really felt the personal touch with any other bus. But that bus felt kind of like your guitar.
What was this?
This is Ryder.
What made the Reliance such a sort of outstanding bus?
Well, it was very subtle. It wasn't all disco-y. Just smooth in a way, a really good, somewhere between a bar and a great Winnebago, or what's the streamlined one? Yeah.
Nice, man.
And just everything was perfect except for the air conditioner. That blew out several times.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
You've been in a bus crossing Oklahoma without air conditioner?
The worst, man. Unfortunately, with the Flock of Seagulls, we've had some air condition free travels back and forth, and usually it happens Texas, Arizona, New Mexico. When it's the most.
You're still riding Mike's bus?
Yeah. We've got the 18 or the 16 passenger Econoline. That's his bus. But,
okay.
He has a bus, but we don't use it because he doesn't like to have to maneuver it through the cities when we get into the cities, and it's expensive, too. So that bus sits at home. But those early days, last couple of years, you were playing with Rick Springfield too. So were you gigging with him way back in the day too?
No, I never met Rick, and he's so good looking and he's such a great actor. I assumed he was faking on a musician, but he's a fantastic player. I love his lead guitar playing and everything.
He is, yeah, man.
But we never met. Funny enough, I was hired along with Jack Mack and the Heart Attack. He was making a movie there in Hollywood, and they had these fans there all day long. So they hired these bands to play.
Yeah.
If the Christians got going too bad, they'd throw out a band. And so I was hired to play there for 4 days in a row. I never actually went. I sent my roadies after the first day, but I got paid. So thank you, Rick. Anyway, and so there were some other connections, but we're just really got to know each other.
Just the last couple of years.
Last few years, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a cool pairing. It's one of my guilty pleasures. Most of my friends know that I'm kind of like the hard rock, heavy metal guy, but one of my guilty pleasures is that I want to gig with him once. George, his drummer, is a wicked drummer, and I would never want to cost him his gig. I want him to, have a cold for one day so that I can play that gig just one time. But I love his band and his songs. He's got a really great catalog of tunes, So,
yeah, he's a great showman too. So.
For sure. Man, in those early days, I mentioned a little bit in the promo leading up to this, a lot of people don't realize that you were around way before that sort of MTV era that really broke a lot of the bands in the 80s. So you want to talk a little bit about your songwriting partnership and what got you started in the music biz?
Oh, sure. We can go back to about, all 80s music really started about 76, 77. Okay. CBGB's in there. And I was playing in rock and roll and country western bands up in Mendocino, California, and got tired of it and moved back down the city. And we were playing reggae. We didn't like any regular rock and roll, hated this stuff. It was reggae really that brought us back to rock and roll.
Okay.
And so, but we played a little everything, and I went down and played some gigs in Mill Valley. And some people came in and said, "Hey, you're new wave." And I said, "What's that?" He said, "Well, you just did, except you can't play all these kinds of music you're playing." I mean, I had a pedal steel guitar player, a horn section. We played everything, Western swing, really weird stuff. We played a whole set of spy rock. That's where the shades come from. I gave everybody a shit of space.
Really?
Set of shades. And so we were down there, and suddenly I had to give out about half of my songs, stop playing them for a while, but I'm always trying to sneak them back in.
Why'd you have to get them out?
They just, in my experience, in my many years, son, both music and radio go from what I call broadcasting to narrowcasting. So like when I got out of college in 72 in Sonoma State, and I moved to Mendocino, I was playing in the rock and roll bar and in the country western bar and a lot of my friends wouldn't go into. 3 years later, I couldn't play in either one. They had become so polarized that a person who plays a variety couldn't get work. So it goes like that. So there's this thing you're trying to, I didn't have to make anything new. They just wanted to mine these things because the reason we got signed is, we weren't really that good a band, but we were one of those quirky bands. And people remembered our songs the next day.
The hooks were there, so, yeah.
My partner at that time, Jim Keller, and we just had a knack for something you'd wake up singing, which can be good. Well, sometimes.
Good for you guys, yeah.
Sometimes, like, I was talking to Lonnie Turner from Steve Miller's band.
Yeah.
Produced us early on. And
really?
We talk about some of Steve's songs and Gary Malbar, and he would explain. I go like, it's ear candy. Abracadabra. I'm trying to forget it, but I keep singing it over and over.
Yeah, man. Well, you can sing it all the way to the bank. Have you talked to Lonnie at all lately?
He passed, unfortunately, quite a while back now. It must be 10 years. I don't know.
I used to see him all the time, man. We'd hang down at Key Largo, and yeah, I hadn't seen him
Yeah,
for quite a while, but hell of a bass player, and he was.
he was a bass player, and he, I think I used to try to get him to play what I call Lonnieisms. He
Yeah.
didn't know he was doing it or something. It's just like on, and I wonder how he played. I can hold on, baby, hold on. He's going do, 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 something like that, and that's all he plays the entire album.
Just white space.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. Wow. Well, rest
yeah.
in peace, Lonnie Turner.
So
So Mendocino was kind of home for you. Did you but you've relocated a couple of times, and when you had the partnership with Jim, were you guys touring early on, doing like sort of a network and circuit of gigs, where did you pretty much stay
no,
home?
I just met him in a jam in San Francisco about 77. I moved back down. I was living in Oakland at the time and went to a jam session. And my wife, Becky, thank you, Becky, said, you need to go talk to that guy. He was just so different than all the rest of us, a real East Coast preppy kind of guy. But we started calling him because he could get this East Coast guitar sound, kind of an Eric Gale thing.
Oh yeah.
And so one time I went over to his house, we wrote some songs, went on from there.
Just the two of you?
Yeah, it was him and me, and we found the great bass player Terry Nails, and I was just talking to him. He's out in the desert somewhere.
Wondering.
Yes, he's taking care of his parents and saying goodbye. His dad was in the Four Freshmen there from Vegas.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Terry was playing bass. Who was playing bass?
He wrote a great book. He after we played together, he went on to play with all kinds of people and wrote a great book called "Gee, I Wish I Was Wearing Sneakers Right Now." Nice. I recommend. So anyway, we were there. We played Keystone Berkeley for like 8 or 9 people. We just really weren't hip, but yeah. So anyway, we were there. We played.
Sorry, I think Jimmy's.
Is that Jimmy phoning in, or is that my conscience?
No, that's Jimmy's watching a little replay actually. So I might have him mute his device real quick while he's hanging out. But
okay.
Anyway, you mentioned playing these gigs but not being that hip, but you wrote these big hooky songs. So were the
what did you say about hooky songs?
Hooky songs. You wrote these songs that had these memorable hooks to them.
Hooky, I thought you said hokey.
No, yeah, no, but you mentioned doing these gigs and not being that hip. So were you playing a lot of your own material at that point, or are you just doing covers?
Oh yeah, we played 80% original stuff, kind of a pub rock thing.
Mid to late 70s.
Influenced by the pub rock guys, Brinsley Schwartz, Graham Parker, and all those guys.
Okay.
Going back on my roots from I was, up till then I played in soul and country bands, no rock and roll at all, and reggae bands. It was kind of spent about 6 years like going to school. When we were in a Western swing band for a while, and that's how I got the Gibson pickup on my Telecaster.
Oh wow!
So I could like play some of that stuff, and then we tried to do real swing. Of course, I had different personas for all of these people. My name is Tommy Heath, but I never could pronounce my name. I'd have to spell it every time on the phone, so I gave it up. So in the country band, I was Johnny Beige was my name.
Nice.
And when I wasn't playing telly, I played a piano. Then in the swing band was my name was Desmond Tone.
I would think that you, with all these different personas, man, you could pivot and do all sorts of gigs right now. You could release 4 different records and do 4 different personalities, and
yeah, we still have board meetings all together in my head, and they were telling me, yeah, because I'm back on a country western roll. I mean, yeah. I try to write songs, and first 3 are gonna be 1 funny one and 2 country ones,
real traditional,
couple soul ones, and then it all comes together to something we could call Tommy.
You know, you do have some twang to it, but you also mentioned playing reggae gigs, and I hear that in songs like "Cheap Date." You know, you've got the
Yeah,
the
Cheap Date.
one drop, and yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
That's
yeah, man.
Hey June, it's me. I just had to call you up. Baby, how about a date? Yeah, take it to the road. We got even by your skate. You know now, baby. What cost you a cent? That was Jimmy's part.
Yeah.
Good night. What cost you a cent? 'Cause I'm a cheap babe, etc.
Yeah, man. It's a great blend of rock and roll and reggae all together.
Did you ever hear that on the radio? It was bootlegged. I'll jump ahead here for a minute. We can go back and fill in some more details. But
sure.
Somebody, K-Rock, when they were just really establishing the new wave format, not the real dancey stuff, but quirky stuff, you know, like I like quirky. Wall of Voodoo, that's a favorite of mine. Yeah. They bootlegged that out and start playing all the time, became this big radio hit and was on all the R&R papers. And
when did they grab that and broadcast? Was that around 80?
Yeah, the record was leaking out right before Christmas and was officially right after. And they just started playing it, and I don't know where they got it. And so we were off doing our first tour around the Midwest, and they kept saying, "You got to come to town and play the song." We hadn't played down there for a long time. No, we never really played in LA. And see, people in LA and people in San Francisco, they don't really know how to talk to each other.
Sure. Yeah, there's a little rivalry.
I mean, it just goes right by. So we kind of moved from this, my lawyer and Lonnie, the producer, and in the San Francisco Sound, and moved, and was extremely lucky to meet one of the greatest men in the world, Terry Powell, from A&R, from CBS. And they all flown up to see some guy that was doing one of those big showcases. And flew in all the ace guys. Nicky Hopkins was sitting there. We opened the show, and we ended up getting signed instead.
Oh, so they came in to see another artist, but you scooped up the deal.
Actually, at that show, my lawyers, Nan and Lindsay, who worked for Brian Mohan, found me and took me to Brian. And now that I think about it, it was a big show I was doing with Mink DeVille up at the old Waldorf, and Terry and Steve Jones owned the studio, and Eddie Thacker, the producer. Terry got them all up, and they all flew up, and they pretty much signed us right away. No kidding. Definitely.
Do you remember what you played when you had that showcase? Do you remember what songs you played for them?
Oh, we had our early hits. One of them was Rachel, and that didn't get on the record for some reason, but it was on the demo that actually got signed. But we did all kinds of things. We had one called very moody thing. I was kind of doing this. Sorry. It's coming to me.
Yep.
Hey, this is going too far. Johnny's wondering just where you are. You don't want to see him? That's all right. Heard all about your big fight. I think it's actually down here. I can't remember. Sorry.
That's actually, man, it's interesting because every song you play has a distinctive sound, but from song to song, it's really cool to hear the different influences that you've got. Did you have a particular vocal interest, like a singer that as you grew up, man, that was the guy that you always sort of looked up to as a guide or a mentor?
Well, the guy I always wanted to get, and I think I overdid it now that listening to that beautiful ending, was Brooke Benton, where he go, like Rainy Night in Georgia. But shit, who are my heroes singing? I think Graham Parker really invented the voice that we all, Elvis Costello and everybody use.
Nice, yeah.
And I just listened to everything he played, pretty much. And I like the way Minkville talked a song a lot.
Yeah.
But going back, I'm just riding that kind of soul thing, Benny King and stuff.
Man, that's
always wanted to sing like that.
You can hear it for sure in your voice. When
but on the other hand, I love Merle Haggard. So
yeah. You're a true sort of blend of American roots, man. Yeah.
Yes, I got it. Finally have a name for my music. It's New Wave Americana Roots.
There you go. Yeah. Did you really ever feel like you fit the New Wave moniker? Because
I didn't think it was at all. I mean, closer than some other bands, but I couldn't define it. They couldn't tell me what it was. I guess I put on a skinny tie for a while because I always liked them.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's some of that style, but I think of New Wave sort of.
I love the style.
The synthesizer,
we're all style victims for my generation.
Well, you talked about the glasses and you said the Spy Rock was the first influence for that. So were you wearing those way back in the day, and then like 1980 doing your gigs?
No, I didn't really. In fact, my partner Keller wear them. I didn't really start wearing them until I sing up a lot closer now to people. I sing solo a lot, and my wife says I look like a mass murderer in my eyes when I'm singing. I really let it all out there.
Yeah.
And it used to be tough because I was really shy, and I never talked to anyone. And we formed a band, and I walked on stage and took over. Yeah. So I'm just like schizo thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's a beautiful thing, right? That the stage makes you somebody that you might not be originally. But do you feel like you've kind of overcome that shyness? I don't see you as shy.
Yeah, I mean, now the thing is, I get away with singing more intense now because I'm really perky. I mean, I can actually talk to people. I didn't know what to say to. I could sing to 10,000 people, but I had no idea what to say to them.
Right? Yeah.
It's a lot harder. Like, I can't imagine being a comedian or something with no guitar.
Right. Do you feed off the energy from crowds? I mean, that is a common thing for us musicians, but because you talk about being able to sing to them, do you depend on some of that energy from people out there to kind of feed back to you to really?
Oh, yes, definitely. We don't have a fourth wall. Well, truthfully, in a big place, you have these 30 or 40 people right in front of you. And then I treat the rest of them like one big lion out there. So I'm looking for feedback from these people and occasional yo from the back of the balcony. So we always just to make sure they could hear. We take our side fills, and if they couldn't hear, we'd let them use it because I want to get reaction to some little joke I make in the middle of a song from somebody.
Yeah. Now, you guys, it's fun when you do that. Your band is notorious too, for especially like Jimmy James. He's notorious for a big grand.
Somebody stop him, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I like people that really challenge me. I like bands sitting back there. I torture bass players trying to get push me, you know. I got some
Yeah.
lead parts. Cheap Date, the Great Terry Nails played on that video. It's just lead, you know, and I just fight my way through it. So,
Yeah.
And they can all do shtick. And I just was trained that way in R&B bands. The boss said, "Tell a joke." You told one right then. You know?
So were you mentioned the boss said, so were you actually backing up R&B bands back in the day?
Just in, I was in country bands, and they had this. I lucked out. The soul band. They had this Steve Cropper image, and he had a telly like mine to go. And see, we got to try this. No, I take it back. The first time I played with a black band was in Munich. It was reggae guys from London, and I had my Telecaster there. Or I didn't, but they had one. And I went up, just played some soul licks over what they were doing, and it's always sounded just right to me. My real ideal band would be kind of. This is influenced by my big sisters. See, a little history. I was very lucky. My big sister was a teenager in Texas in the 50s in high school. And she was like Miss Softball Queen of Texas. And right when all this stuff was happening, they bring home the latest EPs, and her friends would make me dance with her when I was 4. And then after that, we went to Montana, and then we went to Tokyo, and my brother was in Beatle bands in Japan. And I was just so shy. I was playing banjo and surf guitar in my room and beating on the piano in the basement. But I never thought of singing for anybody.
You lived in all those different places?
Yeah, I'm an Air Force brat.
Okay. Yeah. So you were in Great Falls, Montana then for that.
Yeah, I went to high school in Great Falls.
Did you really? Great Falls High School?
For those of you who think Montana is beautiful, actually Great Falls is 40 miles before the end of the prairie.
Right.
And mountains start east, and then it goes up to the beautiful Bozeman and Missoula and all those places.
That's actually where I'm from. I'm from Bozeman, but I met my my wife then. We started dating when Jenny had just come out that long ago. And so I won the low hurdles in high school in Bozeman in about 1964. Did you really?
How old I am, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, man. We were in the same hood for a little while. My dad taught.
Yeah, I grew up all over, and then I left and started hitchhiking around and really started traveling. I traveled a lot.
I would bet that's where a lot of your lyrical content comes from. Just seeing.
Yeah, because I was so shy, I didn't really interact with people, and my whole kind of had the great pretender kind of thing. I'd get picked up by somebody, and I'd just make up a new character and be that guy for a day or two.
Oh my God!
See if I could try it on. So maybe I lost the original guy here, but it makes for great songwriting because I sing in that character. I'm not singing when I sing the song Sylvia here. I'm being the people in the movie, which can be disconcerting because I'll turn around and yell at you as the character.
Yeah.
I have to tell people, don't take it seriously.
I remember.
Yeah, you were there, right? You go, what the fuck?
Yeah. Why is he yelling at me?
If Humphrey Bogart down, play it right, kid.
That's right. And
I'd be going, I said that.
Oh my God. The character piece is interesting, because you do have a persona, even, the alter ego, the Tommy TUTONE character over Tommy Heath. It's kind of nice probably to play pretend. You mentioned being married though, with your relationships. Do they ask you, hey, Tommy, you can turn it off now? When you come home, it's back to Tommy Heath again.
Oh no, they don't have to. I put on my nerd glass and I got a computer job, software job. I just try to be Bob.
Yeah, nice.
Because we were so unpopular where we lived, became popular somewhere else. Like we're starting to sell records, and I'm getting these calls. People are playing Cheap Date in Texas and Florida and in New York, and I get flown into Houston and a literal red carpet from the plane.
Wow. Just from that,
and it just
from Cheap Date.
Go through all this stuff, and then you come back home and you got to jump start your car in the airport and go back to this other life. I probably cost me billions of dollars, but I grew to love that. So
having the,
I'm very shy when I'm not being totally obnoxious.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a middle ground, but
yeah, what's the point, man? You know, I'm sure that it's nice to be able to turn that stuff off. You mentioned that really like Cheap Date was the launching pad for you. And then you'd had this record deal that really was kind of blowing up. Did you get much support from the labels? And
yes, we were very lucky, very, very lucky. Like I said, Terry Powell really believed in us. He loved my name. I mean, we weren't called Tommy. I formed a band with Jim Keller. We were his duo, Two-Tone Keller. And so Terry loved us, but hated that name.
Really? Okay.
There was a duo that he put a bunch into 3 or 4 years before that had a similar name, something Keller. So he made us use my name, Tommy Two-Tone. But my name wasn't really Tommy Two-Tone. It was just Two-Tone.
Right.
Back up in Willis, California, where I lived, everybody has a nickname.
Yeah.
There was a guy who sold a refrigerator once, and for the next 20 years, it was Refrigerator Jim.
Oh, yeah.
So I was just Two-Tone when I wasn't being Johnny Beige or one of the other weird characters.
Yeah.
So
I would think that
I answer very roundabout, sorry. So we got immense support from him, and we hired him. We didn't have a manager, so we hired our manager, Paul Cheslaw, who was a marketing genius. But he had this great approach where he approached a record company as if they were the world as a whole. So we spread he knew how to spread something for it to go viral in the company really well. So they signed 30 people a year, maybe 15 of them made albums and 8 of them finished, and they would pick just a couple.
Okay. And you were one of those bands that actually made the cut. And what did they push right after Cheap Date? What was their first real initial launch?
Angels Say No.
Okay.
Was our first single. And it went to 22. It's a real simple Tommy Two-Tone thing.
Yeah.
I'm playing my little piano part down, kind of a Spanish harm. Da 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 da. Angel, I love you. You know I love you. What can I say? I think it's really a country song. You're not really here anymore, and I know it. It's getting late. They're waiting outside. You're gonna run away. One more time. It might be.
Angels Say No.
You better run. Angels say no, no, no. Either don't you go.
Man, yeah, buddy.
That's just, I don't know.
That was the first hit.
New wave Americana.
Yeah, right. Roots. You know, I think the really cool thing about that song too, the harmonies are really prominent. You know, it really just great strong harmonies on that chorus. I'm wondering, somebody had asked here, Kenny Stuccio says Bernadea for the deep cut win. Bernadea? Was that released as a single?
No.
Okay.
Terry thought we were going to cut a big rock version of that, and he was really disappointed.
Yeah.
And I made it this moody swamp thing. Pretty good song.
When
There's thunder Everybody knows her well. She's the kind of a woman you can hardly tell if you get her alone, but she know how to please her. When she flows through your arms like a cool lazy breeze. Burn or die. I love girl names like that. Walk so slow, but your eyes are on fire.
I love it, man. That's so good. But I'm glad that Kenny brought that one up. That's actually pretty cool to bring up one of the deep cuts. We should probably like talk a little bit too about how things evolve for you. So when Angels Say No broke, did you start touring then? Were you trying to tour in support of the record, or was a label?
Yeah, that's the other thing I was very lucky at. Terry, we had before we got signed by Terry Powell, we actually had a deal through Lonnie Turner to cut some demos from Warner Brothers. So we drove down in Lonnie's 54 Lincoln. The guy had style always. And recorded Amigo there in North Hollywood. And that lady that was really influential from New York, she from Warner Brothers, she thought we were really hip, but she sent us out to, the LA gang, and they were just kind of in Topanga Canyon and couldn't figure out what we were doing.
Right.
So finally Brian, our lawyer, said, well, we gave him 6 months, so we sent it to everybody else and did a showcase where Terry signed us.
Did they end up shoving you out on the road right away in support of the record?
Oh yeah. So, do they know what tour support is? Yeah, we probably spent the money on tour support.
Yeah. So to explain,
yeah, they said I was playing in this bar. See, I used to go when I lived in the city. I still played up in Mendocino and like Grange halls and stuff. Actually, I must confess, with some of the early microbrew people, I was sponsored by Anchor Steam Beer, and I was playing in a bar in Ukiah, California, which is kind of a little bit of LA, right in the middle of Mendocino. It's kind of an industrial place, and all the rest is real, touristy.
Sure.
So they sent Tom Petty got interested, and he sent his roadie and his wife, flew him up, and they came to this bar we were playing, and we're doing the whole spy rock thing, and they said, okay, we like him. And so 2 weeks later, I was opening at Red Rocks.
Oh,
one of the biggest shows I ever did.
No kidding. Who were you opening for?
I was opening for Tom.
For Petty.
Tom Petty.
Oh my God, man. That dream gig.
Just him and us, and they were so good to us.
Petty's crew was?
What's that?
Petty's crew was good to you?
Yeah, they were really good to us. We got offered some other tours, like if I mention things, will they get back to me and guys can beat me up?
Yeah,
I got offered for the Kinks, and everybody said,
Yeah.
In order to keep them killing each other, they tortured the opening band, right?
Yeah. No, a lot of bands did that. That's a natural story. I think about those early days, man, when you had a little bit of tour support to explain to the people that aren't in the music industry. Essentially, when a record label signed you, then they threw some money at you for the studio and maybe help get you up and off the ground and possibly get you some sort of transportation and some money to survive on the road and some marketing dollars, right? So it doesn't happen that way anymore, of course, but as far as tour support goes, opening up for Petty, I'm guessing you had a pretty involved schedule, quite a few tour dates. Were you able to sort of survive without eating top ramen on the road, or was the money still pretty scarce at that point?
Oh, well, let's see. Well, we had the Reliance, of course,
Right.
and we had this one crew guy, and his job was I had extra Tom cases. I had them all. His job was to make everything into sandwiches and put it in this one Tom game. We leave all the stuff behind, and half hour later we're driving down the road starving, right? But we didn't tour week after week. We do 2 weeks down south and 2 weeks up north and 2 weeks in the east. And go back home.
And
I've
radio.
been a traveler all my life, so I was grooving on that. I've been sleeping in back of cars, so I had my own bed on the bus. So I was fine. And actually, we didn't stay on the bus. We get sick of it and we fly for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And they each had their good points. Like
it made it easy.
If you have a tight schedule, you have to leave right after the gig.
Right.
And well, and I do that. I like to party after I sing. So in fact, a lot of times when I got to be the leader opening for 2 or 3 local bands, I get one of them to play after us.
Yeah.
So I like to play third rather than last, so we could have a beer and maybe dance during the last one.
Start the party early.
So then we take the planes, and then you have to get up at 6:30. So.
Right. Yeah. You just may as well not
sick
go to bed.
of one or the other. Yeah. But wasn't that tough.
Was with Angels Say No taking off, where the radio hits starting to pile up at that point? Because you had a run of dates of hits before Jenny completely blew things open, right?
I wouldn't call it a run. The follow-up, we put out Cheap Date, and unfortunately, it had already been a huge radio smash and never really got on AM radio that much.
Okay.
And so we immediately went in, started making the next record. So there wasn't a string of anything, but we did have that movie sting. Paul used to say, when you get signed back then and you're getting all this money, it kind of passes by you on its way to other people. You never really kind of pet it on the way by, maybe. So I said, where's the money? People are going to show up and give us bags of money. Just wait.
Yeah. Never happened.
Couple times that gig where I was keeping the Lions down from Rick Springfield was funny. I was getting like 10 grand a day to do nothing. So.
Wow. Just hanging out.
Yeah. They also serve and only stand and wait. So we got a soundtrack to a song, The Last American Virgin.
Right.
And it was really heart-tearing. God, tear your heart out story. This high school couple, this guy's girlfriend leaves her for this real studly guy, and he knocks her up. And he takes care of her and gets her all through it and had a baby or is adopted. And she goes back to school and goes back to the boyfriend. Just rip your heart out. Yeah. So I wrote a pretty good song for that one. But we wrote it 10 minutes in a motel.
Oh my God.
In Florida. Yeah.
I was reading some of the comments off the chat here, and Chuck Patrick is begging for Jimmy to jump in. Before I do, I know that Caleb also was asking what gave you the inspiration behind 867-5309. So is that about the natural progression right there? Do you went after Last American Virgin soundtrack? Did Jenny come shortly after?
Well, after 867, we didn't pick our greatest. We had 2 really great songs on there. We have 2 really great videos for Cheap Date and Which Man Are You?
My favorite.
And we established the styles, and then we did the Jenny video, and the next song, which I'm learning to love, I thought it was really simple, called whatever it was called, didn't really fly. So we went right back in to make another album. And I was watching the business, trying to learn about it. And we could have just kept on touring and went in and knocked out a record, hired Michael Chapman or somebody to do all the parts or teach them to us and just knock something out like Blondie would do or something.
Right.
But we went to make our concept, and we had this chip on our shoulders, and they said, well, they're only successful because it's so sparse and quirky. So I went, excuse me, the hell with them, we're going to do the opposite. So we did this Wall of Sound album. It took about 3 years to make, called National Emotion. And it had its moments, but it didn't really go anywhere. Because CBS fell apart while we were locked in there. The great people that knew how to promote records within the company and knew what to do, and some of it was, I don't know, maybe it wasn't all on the up and up. Right. That's just the way they did it. There were a lot of we had a lot of, you could return the albums. So a lot of people wouldn't let you do and everything. So all the cool people, Terry Powell and everything, left, and I really couldn't relate to the people they ended up with.
So all the people that supported you and believed in you from the beginning, you had to kind of start over again from the ground up with new sort of label reps.
Yeah, and I had gone totally into this quirky thing, and I remember wandering into not Walter Yetnikoff, but the new head of CBS, and I had this nitrous oxide song called Gas Party. And they were so appalled that they just, I don't think they ever paid any attention to me again. Oh, but there's some good stuff on there. And we did a Westwood One recording that year in Providence, Rhode Island. And I had pushed my way. So I was the leader on stage, and I was very shy. And Jim Keller's a total type A plus personality, and he would push all these songs, and he did a better job of promoting everything because I don't know.
You're the artist.
I couldn't count it too. So I had thought I could count when I played in bluegrass bands and country bands, but Jim and I played on such different parts of the beat that I couldn't figure out where the beat was anymore for a while.
Yeah, that's an interesting relationship. You know, one partner that I do know you play well with, and I've seen you guys do many sort of well-timed gig together as Jimmy James, who joined us on video.
Yeah, he might have a comment on that, Jimmy.
Yeah, about counting. Jimmy, how long have you been playing with Tommy?
Kevin, probably about 32 years.
Oh my God.
Late 80s.
Amazing, man.
We were both living in Nashville, Tennessee at the time.
Okay. How did you guys first hook up?
Could you rephrase that?
How long have you guys been together? No. No. Was Tommy playing with his normal band, and then you swooped in and got the gig?
Tom was in town. He lived in town, and he was gigging. And I was actually in town. I was playing guitar at Opryland for like a summer gig.
Okay.
And I think I was in the music store, Corner Music, best music store in Nashville, still to this day. And he came in, and I guess he needed a bass player pronto. And I just happened to be there. And one of the fellas in the store recommended it to me. And I think we went next door and did a jam session, and took it from there. And we've been best of friends ever since.
I love it.
Remember did you tell him what you said when I asked you?
No, go ahead.
He says, you don't want me, I'm an asshole.
That was your response, Jimmy?
See, again, I'm East Coast.
Yeah.
And Tom's basically West Coast. So it's that yin and yang thing. Whereas we're totally different people, but we complement each other in many esoterical ways, and we just get along. And whereas a lot of people in life may not get along with me for a long time, or Tom.
Yeah.
But we can do that with each other, and we don't get offended or pissed. We understand each other, and that's just, it's been one of the things that's kept us personally together for a long time, was other people would, you know, try to get into the situation or whatever, and they don't understand.
Sure. Yeah. Well, Tommy, I mean, you've really been sort of in a leadership role for a long time. And Jimmy, I've seen you lead your gigs too. I mean, you really have that thing down. So one would think that you guys both have sort of the alpha personalities, but when I see you guys together, it really is a synergy that you have playing with each other. You know, there's some comedy on stage. I see you guys heckling each other, you know, but you know, and Jimmy, you're not just playing bass. I mean, I've seen you play guitar, play drums on that gig. You're pretty much the utility man for anything that needs to be done, right?
Well, thanks. And again, I'm just blessed my whole life to be able to be a sideman on different instruments, you know, guitar, keys, drums, because I love it all. And it's a blessing for me to be able to play all these instruments on, and with even other people, and go out and get a call to go play bass, go play drums. God bless. As you know, that's just that hour on stage or whatever is the whole reason for being alive.
Oh yeah, man.
That's what makes it come together. And you got to tell everybody, because there was a time back, when was it? Mid-90s, when we had one of the best drummers available playing with us on some gigs, and his name was Kevin. That ring a bell?
Yeah.
We were fortunate enough to have you play drums. I was playing bass at the time.
That's right, man. We did it.
And oh my God, was it?
Yeah.
I distinctly remember a gig in the panhandle of Florida. We were playing with Foghat or something. And we just, Tom, remember that? We just had the best time. Kevin was just.
Yeah. I wasn't sober yet. I know that.
Let me tell you, you were truly inspirational.
Oh my God.
On stage and off.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it was yeah, man. That was before
you were amazing.
Well, that whole area got washed away the next year in a hurricane.
Oh, it did.
Of course,
you know,
yeah.
Yeah,
I think it needed a good hosing out anyway.
I think you're right, man. That was so, you know, we had so many crazy fun times together, man.
But Kev, I mean, you know, there's the gig, which could be an hour on stage.
Yeah.
And then there's the other 23 hours of the day.
Yeah.
What makes a real band is being able to do that other 23 hours. That was one of your fortes, playing. And I'm sure that Flock and everybody else that you play with experiences the same thing.
Well,
it's not just the stage.
It really becomes family stuff, you know. So when I see you guys around, it's like a family reunion,
yeah.
You know. And I take it for granted sometimes, because I'll see Tommy in town here in Portland, you know. So when we go out on the road and we do these other gigs, it's kind of like, you know, Tommy, you talked about the alter ego, you know. When we go out there, you get to put the other hat on, you know. And I have some of my fondest memories of gigs, you know, with you guys, like off stage and on, you know. But yeah, I don't know that I've laughed harder than sometimes with you, Jimmy. I don't know that I've met a funnier man on the planet.
It's hard to sing when he's back there on drums. I don't know. You haven't really heard him play drums much, have you?
I have, actually.
He does these jokes on you that just throw you, you know, and he'll hit crash on 1.5.
Yeah.
Tom knows better than to turn around while we're playing a song. If he looks at me, it's all over.
Yeah.
All over. But Kat, remember that we met actually playing with Bill.
Yep.
That's right. I both were playing with Bill Wadhams
from Animation.
No, I was thinking of Orlando, where Bill was knocking stuff over while you guys were back there having a good time.
It's true. I was, yeah, you know. So
sorry, no, I didn't mean to.
No, he, you know what? I love him, and he knows he's a little clumsy at times. That was the Hard Rock, the Velvet sessions. Yeah, so we were sharing rhythm section. So Jimmy and I were playing with Animotion and you, and yeah, I think Bill decided to jump up and play guitar, but he fell into the keyboard stands and knocked the keyboards over.
Oh, I love Bill's lead guitar playing. We jammed once. They played a couple of gigs with us with. You know, Rick, and he just came out and played guitar during my sound check.
God, yeah, man. He too, you know, early on when I started playing with Animotion, he became like an extension of my family. And then you guys, you know, it branched out into you guys. And I think a lot of the bands that we end up playing with in this sort of 80s circuit, there's so many people that really don't take it for granted. They really appreciate the fact that there's an opportunity to go out there and play and be supported by a whole wave of fans that love the fact that these bands are still out there belting it out. You know, I think you're still doing everything in the same key, right? You've still got that range, which is really unheard of for a lot of guys, you know, in this day and age, to be able to sing those notes at that light, at that, you know, because you've got a higher register than a lot of guys.
I sing most of my songs like on a new record down here because I'm now a well baritone, where I sang in the choir originally. I don't know why I'm singing up there.
Yeah,
but
you're still doing same key, right?
Yeah, but a lot of new songs, like they just go different places.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a song that was in. What was that song? No. So, how does it feel? It's originally. How does it feel to know that you can never show or tell anyone about your secret love? And Jimmy goes, let's move it down. I went, I can't sing down there. How does it feel to know that you can never show or tell anyone about your secret love? So
that changes
like
the personality of the song.
We had these parts, and I had to go drive around in my car and learn to sing them for a couple of years. Believe that I can sing there. So
that's the best place to do it.
When I came back in the 90s, everybody in bands I was with could sing like David Bowie, and I had no idea how someone could do that. I mean, I have a voice down there, but it sounded like Oklahoma, you know, Bonnie Raitt's dad.
Bonnie
so
Raitt's
just
dad.
corny. Yeah. May he rest in peace.
I know. Hey, do you, I mean, you guys have written a lot of stuff together. How does that process go, right? When you guys get together and write songs, Jimmy, do you throw an idea at Tommy and say, hey man, write something around this, or what's the collaboration like?
You know, honestly, his best forte is his lyrics.
Yeah.
I'll just say, you know, give me something funny, because he's very witty.
Yeah.
And like, he can twist words almost a little bit way John Lennon would have done it, you know, by double meaning and tendres and such. And once he gets that hook, the vocal hook, not the musical hook, but the vocal hook, man, you can just work wonders around that, because that's what's going to stay in people's heads.
Sure.
You know, that's what they're going to remember, is that lyric.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing. And I'm useless at getting that hook. And he does that. We'll be driving in the car, and he'll just start spitting these things out, and I'm laughing. I'm just dying laughing. And I'm thinking, look, we need to pull over and record this now.
Yeah. That's great,
man.
Man.
Now I record every single one on my phone. Every single one. Yeah.
Don't let anybody hack that, man, because they're going to be stealing your songs, you know. So
there's a wealth there for my grandchildren if somebody.
You bet. There are a bunch of questions on this chat. I noticed that Kenny Stuccio again asked why National Emotion wasn't ever available on CD. Was that a label?
A sore point. It actually is. I found out. No, it isn't. None of my CDs. None of my albums are on CDs at all. That's how
a label issue.
We parted ways because I told them to fuck themselves.
Okay.
And I assumed we were so cool that I get signed by somebody else right away. But Keller and I were going different directions. We did this really embarrassing showcase in Pasadena, at the Pasadena, you know, the big rock club up there. Music was expanding. He wrote a lot of party songs. We had a friend that played sax. Because I had a Telecaster, he said I was just trying to imitate Bruce Springsteen band. And so we didn't get signed to anybody, and we played, and I went back home. He went to New York, but I don't know. It's funny what happens in the.
Well, yeah. No,
We did an interview in NPR, and I was lamenting how it didn't happen. And the guy said, asked Jim, he said, do you regret it? He goes, oh, everything was perfect. We got signed, went everywhere, had a hit record, got in a fight, blew apart. It's perfect.
Oh, well, it's like every MTV or VH1 behind the music story, right? Did you have to renegotiate the rights then when streaming came about and you got royalties from like all these broadcast formats for like playing your song on movies and TVs and you know, like streaming services? Did you renegotiate your rights to get those songs in your pocket?
Well, that gets into some dark areas.
Okay. All right. We don't have to go there. You know, a lot of people that watch
because this is actually a recording.
Yeah.
No, I'll tell about it in my book.
Okay. Yeah. That's you know, it's a dark space for a lot of people in the industry, you know, and a lot of people that watch this are musicians that are trying to get out there and break into the scene. A lot of musicians still think that a record deal is the way to go, you know, to be able to financially support themselves. And, you know, that book that you're talking about will probably be pretty helpful in dictating whether or not they want to choose that career path, or at least if you had advice for an up and coming musician, would you guide them maybe in terms of management or direction or something to be a little smarter about, educate themselves without being burned?
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to tell them. Watch everything I do and do the opposite, maybe.
Is that what you do, Jimmy?
Yeah.
Thing is, you're asking, what would I tell musicians? And it goes back to why two leaders like me and Jimmy can work together. I'm not a musician. I'm an artist.
Okay.
And kind of faking in music.
Yeah.
So I have a band leader now, and Jimmy leads my band, so it feels really good.
Kevin, in case anyone is looking for any two-tone songs from any album, we do have a YouTube channel. It's TUTONE JJ.
Okay.
And they can. Some of them have actual videos with them. Some of it just, you know, the tunes, but they're all up on YouTube. And they can get any song, and I'm trying to get all of them up on Spotify as well.
Sweet.
So, you know, CDs are kind of like 8 tracks now.
Yeah.
So they'll never be a CD, but everything is streaming, and it is available on YouTube, Spotify, and then of course Pandora, et cetera, et cetera. So it is all up there. Even the newer stuff that we're doing, that we make in the past couple of years, we you know, it's not like we put out albums anymore. Most of us, you know, we put up 1 song, 2 songs, EPs. It's not the old days of putting out the whole album. So, but it all goes up, and they can find it all online, which is where life is nowadays.
Yeah. No.
That's where we are right now.
Well, when you go to shows, when they actually do have live shows and people come out to see you and they buy merchandise, are they able to get like download cards for the new records, or do they bring in their old vinyl?
Yeah, we have a download card. I decided, you know how much I love record album covers.
Yeah.
So the picture we were showing was on a CD, but we have an album size copy put on the wall, and you get a code with it to download the WAV files. That's what we were doing last summer. And we're exploring models like that. And mostly I'm just working on just singing for people.
Okay.
So I'm going to be doing more videos and actual recordings, but just casual ones like this.
That, you know, this stuff is really fun because right now people are really chomping at the bit to hear live music. You know, they're really struggling with the idea that they can't go out and see something live. And even you just playing those little tidbits, you know, it has been really fun to see you, you know, doing it. I wish we were in a format that you guys could play together without the kind of funky latency, you know, because, you know, it would really bring a lot of warmth to people. I'd love to maybe hear one funny anecdote, or tell me about the most memorable experience that you guys have had together in maybe the last couple of years that stands out. And then I might have you play another song, Tommy, to wrap us up. Is that cool?
Sure.
Okay. Maybe Jimmy, give me the funniest experience that you can think of in the road the last few years.
Good Lord, Cal. It's
Was it the time walking in front of the Smithsonian when I farted on those people behind me?
Oh, God. You crop dusted the fans?
The whole band standing there, and I step back and let one go, and Jimmy's dying, and there's this lady pushing a pram right behind me.
You know,
in her eyes, she's like, I just got farted on by Tommy TUTONE. That's
Kev, the one you know from playing with us that yeah, it's all about the gig, but we go sightseeing like tourists all day. We will go see the biggest ball of yarn. We stopped. We're driving from Chicago in the rain at 9 o'clock at night. We stopped at the Cheese Castle. We just love that kind of stuff.
Cheese Castle.
Yeah, we have a cultural. Always did this in two-tone band. We have like we're in Vegas. We all go out to Hoover Dam.
Yeah.
I warned the band that there's going to be a quiz that night.
Nice.
They get free beers for how many things they can know. And Jimmy was that way before I met him, and we pursued that. So,
I love that, man. You
like we were in the Wisconsin Dells. We just go the Torture Museum. We went to the Torture Museum.
Oh, and that's in the Dells Museum or the Dells,
the Torture
Wisconsin?
Museum. I love those things. The last time when I played that last gig last year with the 80s review.
Yeah.
I'd never been in the North Part. I'd never been in old Las Vegas in all these years. I'd only been on the Strip or way down south or out at the studio in the desert. So I was right downtown in the Mafia Museum's right there.
The Mob Museum, that's right.
Yeah.
That's
beautiful place.
I'll bet you were right at home in there, man. You walked in with your shades and your little hat and Tommy's fedora. No, that's interesting. It's good that they have that. And it's good that Jimmy appreciates, the sort of exploits on the road too.
Oh, I love it.
It's a lot more fun to do that than get in trouble on the road.
It is. And, again, I'm blessed to be able to play with a couple of different people. And it's amazing to me how some guys will they want to sit in that room all day.
Yeah.
Maybe have a beer at the bar and then go watch Netflix for 12 hours.
Right.
There's a whole beautiful world out there, not just America, but there's so many neat people to meet, not just fans, but just regular folks working deli or whatever, man. It's a beautiful country out there.
Amen.
And you really need to see it. You really need to experience it.
Yeah. That's one of the things I miss the most about not being on the road right now.
And you guys were killing it past couple years. You were every
But a lot of shows.
Mike's got the magic touch. I sincerely hope things get back together because this year's basically been a wash,
Yeah.
And I'm really, really proud and happy to see you doing something like this streaming thing because that's keeping people us together.
Man, you know what? For me, it's selfishly, it really has been able. I've been able to reconnect with guys like you, my buddies, that we've traveled together with for decades, and I'm inspired in a huge way because I noticed that when I'm not playing drums, I kind of go through this funk, right? And it really, the fulfillment factor in my life.
You go through funks?
Oh man, big time. If I don't play drums,
we always talk about you, folks, we're all introverts, but occasionally meet a true extrovert.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of extroverts are dickheads.
I'm a dickhead.
This is a great extrovert who's a great fun.
God, I miss people, man. I just miss hugs, and I miss like slamming drums, but I miss people on the road. Whenever it comes back around, I plan on continuing this, when we're out there, because I've got a mobile unit that I can go and that hopefully not have to wear a mask and we can be in the same room. But
well, dude, because I think you really tapped into something. Well, I mean, even myself, just being home. Can't go anywhere, can't do anything. But man, I've been able to tune into you and see people like Brad Elvis. I haven't given him a hug in months. I want to see Mike Skill. I want to see the guys. These are our family.
Right.
For 30 years we've been on the road with these guys playing shows together. This is our family, believe it or not.
I know it.
So we miss our family.
Yeah.
No,
and you'll bring us together a little bit. And I want to say thank you from everybody.
Oh man.
Yes.
Thank you guys. I really
agree.
appreciate that. Well, hopefully, everybody can do their part, to just kind of keep this thing wrapped up. We'll get a vaccine together and people can stop the spread so that we can go and do it together soon. I mean, that's what I'm hopeful for. Yeah.
Kev, I got an idea though.
What's that?
One day when you maybe don't have an artist to interview, or you got a hole in your calendar, I want to turn it around. I want to interview you for your show.
Sure.
I think you got
the stories you can tell.
What, Tommy, you and I both know that some of those stories could never be told, man. Here's one thing. Over the last couple of years, it's allowed me an opportunity to tell some of those stories to my kids, to be vulnerable, open up, because I don't want it to come back on them. I don't want them to find out about that kind of stuff later on. And I've been doing a lot of accountability searching for myself, man, looking at the stuff, like any wake of drama or shit that I left behind. I'm trying to clear that side of the street, So, and my kids are, 18 and 21. So I want them to be accountable and get their stuff together. So if I tell them about all the, good and bad parts to my life, then hopefully they can learn and not hit those speed bumps, And as much as I'm very grateful for the opportunities I've had, I made some mistakes, man, that I don't want long lasting effects from, so I love just being able to push forward, play music with guys like you guys and my family, my band members, man, I'm missing it so much. And I want to make sure that I just get rid of all the other stuff in the past so that I can just move forward, make less mistakes in the future, But Jimmy, I'd be glad to talk to you anytime, man. We'll have that convo. But
seriously, everybody wants to hear yours. You're going to do this for 100 people, and somebody needs to do you.
Well, you guys
in a way, you know what I'm saying?
This is 71 today of all things. I just counted up before we talked. So
really,
it's crazy.
Really?
It's 2.5 months. The 70. Yeah, I didn't even realize, but it's been nuts. And it's not like I'm going to run out of amazing, interesting people to talk to, right? So it's just the amount of hours in the day that I don't have, So I'm loving it. But so I do have one favor to ask then as we go out, man. My favorite two-tone song of all, Which Man Are You? If we could all three play it together, it'd be amazing. But Tommy, if you would do me the honor, man, and just at least play us out with that one, and then
okay.
And when I archive this, I'll make sure that there it is. I'll make sure.
Are you a man? What a pride. Are you a man full of sorrow? Are you a man all like a bedside, taken by tomorrow? Help me now. He was taken by tomorrow.
Which man are you?
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 Man are you?
Which man are you?
Are you a man? And well advised? Are you a man who's been misguided? Are you a man who signs on the line? Are you decided? Are you a man? Are you decided? Which man are you? Take it, boys.
Are you?
Which man are you?
Which
man are you?
Which man are you?
Which man are you?
Oh, man are you?
Which man are you? Yeah, but yeah. I noticed that when Zoom has its latency, it's like all three of us have had a whole bunch of shots of tequila, but Tommy, you sound great, man. And it was nice to have the flourishes in there with Jimmy James. You guys, man, I miss it. It's great to see your smiles, and I'm glad to know that you guys are healthy and kicking butt. when I archive this, I'll make sure that I get it up on kevinrankin.com. We'll get links to those tracks if you're up for it. At least me, if I can promote the record cover, and then any additional updates, just let me know, and I'll make sure that we get those on the site. And then hopefully by 2021, we're out there rocking again, doing some shows together. I know, Tommy, you said you had a new determination that you weren't going to do what shows until.
I told some of the 80s tours and I was done with it. I said, I ain't doing any more 80s shows till I'm 80.
There you go. Yeah. So we've got about
So we got about 6 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you know, there were some people on the chat too that were asking about the cruise. I think Laura Nikita said, or Laura Nitka said, she wants to know when TUTONE will be joining the 80s cruise lineup again. We miss you. Kevin Kennedy.
Hi, Laura.
Kevin Kennedy says Europe 2021. And Chuck Patrick was hoping that you live in St. Pete, but nope, that's just Jimmy James there, right? So Jimmy,
Yeah, I'm Florida kid.
No, I go down there a lot to Jimmy's house. We're cutting some great tribute records there. We forgot
Really?
to talk about those, didn't we?
What are you doing
We're
there?
doing this whole 60s period, and I always called the, I don't know, psychotic reaction era.
Nice.
And Jimmy recording there. And we're also recording in St. Augustine. We have been, and we plan to do some of the next record there. So
Right on, man. That's great. It's really cool to hear the new stuff as well, Tommy. I appreciate you giving me a heads up on some of that. You know, if anybody's interested, make sure that you go out and hit YouTube, grab the channel that Jimmy was talking about, and Tommy will have some new material out there soon. So stay in touch with either one of these guys, and you can get the new tracks. I do want to thank 5 Star for supporting me again. So 5 Star Guitars, hit it www.5starguitars.com. And then tune in this week. We've got a lot of fun guests tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon. I got Rob Dacre, amazing producer and songwriter. Monday evening, we've got Kelly Lemieux from Buck Perry. Tuesday, Dean Castronovo, and Wednesday, Kenny Aronoff. So it's a fun, packed full of fun,
Nice.
full of stars, man. So Tommy TUTONE, Tommy Heath, and Jimmy James, I appreciate you guys being here. I love you, and have a beautiful day. Stay healthy, okay, guys?
all right, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, everyone.
See you, everybody.
Take care.